If you define the concept of worldview, then I named it as follows. It is a set of principles, views, beliefs that determine a person's relation towards the world around him and towards himself. That is, now the slogans are going around, take everything from life, Pepsi. This is a worldview. If a person has such a worldview, then in each concrete case he will act this way and not otherwise. If a person is presented in the form of a certain black box to which information is supplied, then the worldview will simply define. And what is the result? That is, information is fed to one box, one reaction, to another box, another reaction. And what is inside? This is the worldview. The worldview is formed, of course, by science and politics and aesthetics and raviousness, but the basis, as I said, the ancestral egregor, is stored in the form of worldview images. And here it is very important to understand that, in general, there are very different genotypes on Earth, and everyone has different world perception. There are people who write in hieroglyphs, there are people who write from right to left, there are people who write from left to right. All this has a very serious impact on the worldview. The questions that I will talk about today I verified in practice, especially the problems of higher reason, when we touch upon this. I checked this theme as well, at least on all our continents and in countries such as Japan, Indonesia, South Africa, Venezuela. Well, I'm not talking about Europe, the States, and so on. There is little meaningful that can be obtained for a deep world understanding. But when you try to get to the origins of ideas that were before the peoples were civilized by Europe, then you begin to understand a lot. For example, Japan. I understood that one can perceive through words and one can perceive through images. The Japanese perceive the world through images. That is, their hieroglyphs are a certain simplified picture of how one sees life in a figurative form. And I tried to somehow understand with an example. But how does this happen in life? So, our translator, who has been living there for 15 years, speaks excellently the purest Japanese language, being absolutely European in appearance. She says, I usually give such an example in order to understand the specifics of thinking. I approach a Japanese man, and in the purest Japanese I ask him something. For example, tell me how to get there or how to get somewhere. He looks at me with clear eyes and says, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. I repeat to him in the purest Japanese, I'm talking to you in Japanese. Explain to me. And he says, I told you, I don't speak English. He says to her in English. And only from the third approach does she achieve success. Why? Because the Japanese think through images, and their words are secondary. When a Japanese man reads the text, he sees the text. The meaning is clear to him, but he cannot read it. In order to read it, he must open the dictionary, look, etc. So, when he saw the face of this girl, then there is an image and there is a standard variant. If the face is European, the person does not speak Japanese, and that's it. Words for him already mean nothing. They are not perceived by him. He sees the image, and for him, the meaning of what is happening is already clear. He made a conclusion for himself and behaves like that. That is, if a person writes from right to left, then this is a fundamentally different character. If you write from left to right, then you see what you have written and do not see the line that you will write. It is closed with your hand. From here, certain character traits are formed when a person is more predisposed to the analysis of what was than to the analysis of what will be. If a person writes from right to left, then what he wrote is already covered by his hand. He does not see it. But the line that he writes, he clearly imagines what will happen next. That is, these seeming details very seriously affect a person's perception of creation as a whole. So you and I understand that a child's worldview is being formed, but he has no world understanding. He doesn't say anything. Why worldview? Because 95% of information a person perceives through the eyes. and only the remaining 5% through the rest of the senses. These are touch, smell, taste buds, hearing, and 95% through the eyes, hence world view. This is not entirely accurate because the rest of the senses also work to form this property, but nevertheless, the eyes are decisive here. So he does not have a world understanding. Why does the child have no world understanding? Because he has no lexicon. He sees, for example, a flame, and he knows that it's hot. But he knows this only at the level of images, and cannot express it in words.